Hi everyone, this is Miss P, and today we're going to practice subtracting mixed numbers. Let's practice subtracting mixed numbers using the example of 4 3/4 minus 1 3/8. In this example, we have a mixed number, 4 3/4, minus another mixed number, 1 3/8. So let's start by rewriting this problem vertically. 4 3/4 minus 1 3/8. Now we can visually separate the fractions from the whole numbers. Before we begin, let's look at the fraction portion of this subtraction problem, 3/4 and 3/8. These two fractions do not share a common denominator. 3/4 has a denominator of 4, and 3/8 has a denominator of 8. In order to subtract these fractions, we have to find the lowest common multiple and rewrite the problem using common denominators. In this example, using fourths and eighths as our denominators, you might notice that 8 is actually a multiple of 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So our lowest common multiple is going to be the number 8 itself. That makes it a little bit simpler for us because we know all we have to do is we have to convert our fraction of 3/4 into an equivalent fraction represented in eighths. What do we have to do to 4 to make it 8? We have to multiply it by 2. 4 times 2 equals 8. And so in order to find the equivalent fraction, we have to do the same thing as we did with the denominator up here to the numerator. So 3 times 2 equals 6. And so 6/8 is the equivalent fraction to 3/4 as written in eighths. And since our second number in the problem, 1 3/8, is already represented in eighths, we can just leave that the same and rewrite it. So let's rewrite the problem using eighths for both mixed numbers. 4 6/8 minus 1 3/8. This problem represents the exact same value as our original problem. We've simply converted 3/4 into the equivalent fraction as represented in eighths. Now we have a common denominator in both fractions. So when we go to do the problem of the mixed number minus a mixed number and begin with fractions, we can subtract 6/8 minus 3/8 easily. It's going to be represented in eighths. And once we know that, we can simply subtract the numerators. 6 minus 3 equals 3, 3/8. In this case, the numerator from the top number is larger than the numerator from the bottom number. In some cases, you might find that the numerator from the top number in your subtraction problem is not big enough to simply subtract the fractions. In that case, you're going to have to borrow from the whole number, but we don't have to do that today. With this problem, we simply can subtract 6/8 minus 3/8, and we get 3/8 in our answer. If you want to learn more about how to borrow from a whole number, there will be another video on that later this week. Now that we have our fraction and our answer, we can subtract our whole number. 4 minus 1 equals 3. Our answer is 3 3/8, which is already simplified. There's nothing else we have to do. Our final answer is 3 3/8. So 4 3/4 minus 1 3/8 equals 3 3/8. Remember, when you're subtracting mixed numbers, write your problem vertically. Check to see if you have common denominators in your two fractions, and if you don't, find the least common multiple of those denominators, and then rewrite one or both of the fractions so that the two fractions share a common denominator. Then subtract through the fractions, and then subtract through the whole numbers, and you will get your final answer. Let me know if you have any questions below.